Good morning, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm working on the F350. What I'm doing in the truck is getting it ready for the New York trip to get all of the sheet metal body parts for the Charger Magnum station wagon. And before I go, I just want to make sure my truck is 100% ready to go. So what I'm doing first is the front brakes. So the rear brakes I checked, they're completely fine. I think on diesel trucks, the rear does like 75% of the braking. But 2 weeks ago when I ordered these, the fronts were looking very sad, and on the stock rotors, they like to spider crack. There's nowhere really for the heat to go to dissipate. So what happens is the rotors get fatigued, and then I'll show you once I get the wheel off, but they start to have all these little spider cracks, and sometimes they'll crack all the way through, but I don't want that to happen to this, and it's looking pretty bad. So what I ended up doing was upgrading the rotors. Usually I go with a Stop Tech kit, but it was extremely hard to actually get it in time. So the wait time on it was like almost 2 months, and I was like, I'll just go with this. My friend has these on his truck, and they seem to be doing fine. They're drilled and slotted rotors, so it dissipates the gases, it throws the brake dust, and it kind of just dissipates the heat a lot better as well. I had the Stop Tech drilled and slotted rotors on my F350, and the whole time I used that truck, they're perfectly fine. They're a really good upgrade on the truck. I did the front and rear on that truck, which the rears are fine on this truck for now. I'll end up doing the rears eventually, but let's get to work putting these on. It comes as a kit. I'll put the link in the description. It comes with the pads, both rotors, or you can get the 4-wheel kit. And this is a lot cheaper than the Stop Tech kit, but yeah, link will be in the description. Finishing up the brakes on the F350, and they were pretty bad. So the driver's side pads weren't as bad as the passenger side, so you can still see that there is the groove kind of there and there is some material, but the passenger side ones were definitely all the way down to the bare minimum. I'm glad I changed these things, and the backing was actually like coming apart, so not sure what was going on there. You can see that it actually has a pretty good crack in the center of it. Barely any pad material left, and the rotors, you can kind of see it. Where are we at? This one actually doesn't look too bad on the back side. Let's see. So this was the passenger side. You can see the grooving and everything in it, how bad it was getting. Has a bunch of hot spots on it just because the pad material was getting really down there. The driver's side, you can see some of those micro cracks where it's starting to micro crack, and I think this one is actually a lot worse. Let's see. Yeah, so you can see the micro cracking, how bad it was on this passenger side rotor. It's just all the way through it. And that actually will progress into larger cracks, but you know, usually it doesn't happen so quick. But if you do turn these rotors down, or if you take it to like Brakes Plus and they're like, we'll just throw new pads on it and turn the rotors down, and those micro cracks will actually progress eventually into real cracks where you end up getting the rotor to crack in half or something crazy. So it is just better to just replace the rotors and pads when you do the brakes, instead of just having the rotors turned down, even if the material's there. I'm really happy that these are nice and done. New rotors, drilled and slotted, new pads, cleaned the calipers up a little bit, and I seized everything that I needed to. The back bolts right here for the caliper bracket to the knuckle is 203 foot-pounds. These ones right here are 165 foot-pounds, and how you tighten these is you just use a where's it at? You just use a long breaker bar and just put it between two of the lugs, and then you could go through these holes with the extension, a 21mm socket. It makes it really easy. They made it really, really easy compared to how it used to be doing dually brakes. They were just a nightmare because you had to pull the bearings and all that stuff out, and it was just really, really a pain. So I'm gonna throw the wheel on here, torque those caliper bolts to 203 foot-pounds, torque the lug nuts on the truck, pull the truck halfway into the garage. What I'm gonna do now is change the tranny fluid. I got a new oil pan gasket for the tranny pan. I got a new filter, and I have 16 quarts of the tranny fluid. It's the LV fluid. I'll put links in the description for all this stuff. But the rotors, replacing the front rotors and pads made a tremendous difference in how the truck drove. It actually brakes a lot better now. I knew that was gonna be one plus of doing it, but I was having this weird little shimmy at speed. But when I was braking, there was no, there's no wobble. Hard braking, under hard braking, there was no wobble, but it had this weird shimmy. Now it's gone. You can see these things are now broken in, and it's just really nice to have brand new brakes on this thing. It was one thing that was really worrying me. I was just waiting for them and waiting for them. I was like, man, I hope these come before I go on this trip. The brakes that were on it would have never made this trip there to New York and then back. So I'm just glad that I did this. What I'm gonna do now is pull the tranny pan. I believe they're 8 mils. I got my side impact. So gonna pull that off, clean everything up, and get new fluid in it. It has almost 100,000 miles on my truck now. I got it with like 73, I think, from the auction before I rebuilt it. And I've just been driving it a ton, towing stuff with it a ton. And I just wanna make sure everything's nice and fresh, because New York's a long haul. It's gonna be like over 3,000 miles, I think, there and back. And I just wanna make sure my truck is 100% okay. And I think that 100,000 miles on tranny fluid is a little bit excessive, but we'll have fresh stuff in there for the trip. The thing about these pans is Ford finally put a drain plug in them, so it's really easy to change the fluid. The fluid isn't too bad. It's a little bit dark, but it's still nice and red and it smells okay. Just want to do some preventative maintenance. Got the pan off of the tranny, got all the fluid drained, dropped the filter, and come to find out that somehow, using my VIN number, they got the correct tranny pan gasket, but somehow they got me the wrong tranny filter. To Ford this morning, got the correct filter. The fluid and the pan gasket were already correct. The guy accidentally grabbed me the incorrect filter. New tranny filter is now in. You can see it's secured by those 3 bolts. Tranny pan all nice and clean with the new OEM Ford gasket. How I'm gonna fill the transmission is I just have the dipstick hole, then I have this like funnel with a hose on it, and it works really, really good. So I just need to put in as much as I took out. The first 8 quarts of new tranny fluid in. What I'm gonna do now is start the truck, drive around the block, come back, let it cool down for a sec, and then drain the fluid out, add the other 8 quarts, and we should be 100% good to go. The fluid will be nice and clean, and there is a better way to do it. The dealership has a tool that actually flushes the whole system, but with my grandma's car, as we found out, most of the time when the dealer says they do your tranny fluid and your filter, they actually don't. They just lie about it. But I'm done with the tranny fluid. I'm changing the oil, and it was probably a good idea to change it. It has like 7,000 miles. So going through the automatic car wash, I got the interior all nice and clean. This truck's gonna be like a brand new truck, all nice and clean. Smells good, a little air freshener. The first time I went through, it didn't get the truck clean enough, so they sent me back through for some more swirls. My truck is clean, the exterior is clean, the oil's changed, pretty much all the fluids, engine oil, tranny fluid, but this mat looks dirty just because it really doesn't get clean. But yeah, underneath it's nice and clean, and it just is nice to have a fresh start when you're going on a trip, because I'm probably gonna sleep in my truck for, I don't know, maybe a few days, not exactly sure, but I want it to be nice and clean and smell good, and, you know, just not be really, you know, there's a bunch of stuff in here. I cleaned everything out. It's just a really nice way to start a trip, especially one that is very, very long, and it's gonna be very tedious. So that's gonna be the end of this video. I'm really glad that the truck is now ready for the trip, and other than having to wait, I thought that panel was in, the dealership thought that panel was in, they went through the inventory, and then Dodge corporate said that it's pushing that one panel back for the quarter another 3 months. So what I'm gonna end up doing is I'm just gonna pick up what's there, which is 97% of the order, and then once that other one comes in, the other quarter panel, I'll just have to suck it up and have that piece shipped. But I need to get this project on its way, so I need to get all that stuff from New York, which I'm probably gonna end up going to Detroit first, and then go shoot over to New York, probably South Carolina, because I have a friend there, and then to New York, and maybe do something in South Carolina a few days. So that's the end of the video. If you like these videos, make sure you click the subscribe button, thumbs up, throw a comment below. As always, see you guys next time.